and welcome. Today we have with us some very, very special guests in this series of interviews that we are doing on the critical India-Australia relationship. Today we have with us the owners of Daana, Sanjay and Sunita Kumar. Daana has been recognized as one of the most significant restaurants in Australia that aims to provide an authentic experience of traditional Indian cuisines. Their story of just being a small family run business to becoming a prominent name in Australia is an extraordinary one. And based in Canberra, this restaurant was regarded as the best Indian restaurant in Australia in 2022 in the 2022 Hostplus Restaurant and Catering Awards. Not just the food, Daana is also very popular for its ambience that it exudes, and it exudes the spirit of Indian traditional and folk art. So welcome, Sanjay and Sunita. I'm so happy that we could find time to do this.
Okay, our pleasure, absolutely.
Absolutely, our pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Not at all. Let me start by putting this question out to the both of you. How did Daana come into existence? How did you establish it? And when did this happen?
So we moved to Australia in 2012. And when we moved, we had a clear vision that we would at some point start our own food venture. And having arrived here and after seeing what was available in the market, we missed what we missed as chefs was the fact that there was not much southern cuisine and regional Indian cuisine that was not presented in a way that it should have been. And we started from, imagining what it would be like to present a cuisine that is not traditionally served in Australia, right? So it was about breaking stereotypes, if I could say that. And we got that opportunity in 2015 to kind of beta test our thought process. And it was a food precinct, but all pop-ups. And we started from a 40-foot shipping container in 2015, presenting street foods of India in Canada. And there were not many people doing street foods of India at that point in time. So it was something which we wanted to test and see whether, what we wanted to do and present by way of cuisine of India would have takers. And we were surprised pleasantly to see how well it was received. And from there on, there's been no looking back.
That's amazing. Sorry.
Yeah. And well received, as Sunita said, though we were presenting very, very popular street foods of India like pav bhaji, vada pav, idli, dosa stuff, but we had followers and across the community. Of course, the people from Indian background, South Asian, local Aussies, families, elders, university students, because we were close to the campus of Australian National University. So it brought a lot of people, their memories back home, and people, it was a very open space. People would sit out in car and eat food in Australia. Yeah, so it's an amazing experience. People still talk about it. So we have moved. Elderly Indian couple, I still remember that they were like, we are living our college days when we were dating, eating food like this, sitting in the car.
But that truly is an Indian experience, when we go to eat chaat even today, it's usually just by the curbside.
Yeah.
So that's really the way to eat it. Let me also ask you, you've had this terrific journey from, serving out of a container into a restaurant. And like I mentioned earlier to you, we just for the same series interviewed Gary Megan, who is an Australian chef who became very popular in India, is doing a lot of regional food in India. Would you agree, because this is something I asked him also, that a lot of Indian food that you get abroad is North Indian centric, and not many people would know about the variety of regional cuisine that we have.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. But it's heartening to see that there is a change happening. I think it's also a fact, the factor which plays an important role when migration starts and different foods come into countries. Who were the first migrants? So I think it's representative of the time when mostly northern Indian influenced, people from the northern side of India migrated first. uh, Chefs who were in the country were trained in that kind of food, and there was this, brand recollection, if you can call it that way, that it's India means butter chicken, India means, chicken tikka masala and rogan josh or
Correct.
vindaloo, for example.
Yeah,
So
Vindaloo.
that's what was, so it's not, I don't think it was a deliberate thing that anyone didn't want to present, but I think
No.
once the migration patterns changed, we have more South Indians, more people from regional India moving in. And that shift you can see in the market as well, that, there is, uh, people are trying to present food which is different, present food which is more traditional, authentic. So it's a very heartening change for us. And we feel proud because, when we arrived here, there was just one place that would serve dosa on one particular day of the week. So that was a that's how it was. And now it's, you can find more takers for uh, food which is not traditionally associated with restaurants, coming into the restaurant business as well. Yeah.
Correct. You know, when I was many years ago when I was studying in England, I remember a Greek friend of mine and me trying to get her to try a pani puri. You know, like, like the pani, there's a certain taste that us Indians have, which is this chatpata
Yeah.
sort of taste, which seems to be absent in a lot of other cuisines. Um, so my wider question to you is, with your street food, the street food in India has a lot of flavors in terms of it might have tamarind, it might have chilies, it might have, uh, a mixture of fruit. Um, how do people receive this cuisine? How do they receive in Australia these flavors that you sort of have obviously made so available to them? Also, in terms of South Indian food, South Indian food is spectacular and it has a huge variety and huge amount of flavors, but that might not be the same as they are used to in terms of North Indian food.
Yeah.
How have people received the flavors that you offer?
I think, especially Canberra market, people are very well traveled.
Mm.
So they have some basic knowledge. They heard of popular places like Kerala, Goa. They're very touristy spots. At the same time, when we presented food, uh, very well accepted. A lot of people were surprised that a curry can be made without onion, tomato, and ginger garlic, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
we still have on the menu. At the similar time, when we present uh, samosa chaat on some special menu, or for the matter of pani puri, people definitely, it's a fun food. Uh, we don't reduce spice there. If pani puri has to be proper chatka, it should have chatka there.
Correct.
So, and people love it.
And
Everyone loves it.
yeah, and I think we've tried to break the mold, so to speak, from the very beginning. So, if it's meant to be spicy enough to water your eyes, that's how it would be served. So there's no, making it mild that happens at our restaurants. So uh, we advise our guests, it's spicy, I can temper it down, but it's not going to be mild by any chance. So the flavors, I think, and that's what we've been very, popular for, is because we believe flavors is what it's all about. So If it means blending our spices, we blend it ourselves. There is always an experimentation that happens, even while we are presenting authentic food. How do you present it in a way which is more interactive or more, how do I say, different, contemporary in terms of its presentation style? So, for example, we've done pani puri in cocktail functions as pani puri shots, and it's a different take on it. And then we introduced in our restaurant menu, we introduced a fondue out of pav bhaji, and
Wow.
so it's about presenting traditional food with the traditional flavors, but with a take which is more contemporary. And I think our guests have really appreciated that. At the same time, we also have presented, the restaurant when we moved. One of the things was, how do we bring regional food and make it accessible on a regular basis for the community? And we started doing the Dana's Bhoj or Thali. And we've presented 252 menus. And each menu is unique. Each time we present, so we go to different states every week. So each week is a different menu from a different state. And if I go back to a same state, it's never the same menu. It's something new, something unique that comes back. So a lot of research, a lot of time goes in finding those authentic experiences for our guests. We present the Kerala Onam and Vishu Sadhya, for example. We're the first people to introduce it in a commercial setting, because that banquet is on a banana leaf, and it's a community event where people are sitting together and having a meal. It's been served as you go, so you're actually serving on a kele ka patta with the vegetarian dishes. People are surprised that you can have 40 vegetarian dishes with 4 or 5 basic ingredients, each tasting different. And that's something which, we pride ourselves for having done that so successfully, where the month I announced that, April and September is when we do it. March, we announce the dates on which we're doing it. By the second or third day, pretty much sold out on those limited edition dinners. And people come because they want to experience something which is unique and culturally enriching for them as well. So there's a lot of storytelling, and there's a lot of sharing of anecdotes, of the history and the culture. So it's not just the food that our effort has always been beyond just food.
And same thing, to complete, the food is one part. The experience gets completed with the service we present along with the food. So it makes it a complete experience. It's just not somebody serving authentic food on the table. It has to go with storytelling. The people have not.
And Sanjay loves storytelling.
People ask, what does a drumstick look like? So we show them the drumstick we have in the kitchen. They have never seen it. Like today, somebody asking, what does the tamarind look like? They love tamarind chutney.
Oh, they do.
Yeah. So we told them about tamarind. So they were Googling it while they're having dinner. What does the tamarind look like? Yeah. So there's like that. So interaction is crucial. That makes an experience.
Yeah. I mean, I remember we had series of different dinners that we've, presented, which is going back. We did a series called Heritage Trail, where we went back tracing spice origins from 5th century onwards till the 20th century, and how food has evolved in India. And we presented menus which only use the indigenous ingredients from India at that point in time. So there was just pepper, there was just cardamom and tamarind. So, that evolution and that storytelling has always been fascinating for us as chefs and also for our guests.
It's just amazing the amount of effort that you're putting in, because to me it seems like, from what you're telling me, it's like you engage all the senses. So you're not just engaging, taste, but you're also engaging the visuals, the whole experience of it. Like you said, like you made Golgappa's shots. It's such a tasty food, but so difficult to eat, especially at cocktails. So that would possibly be a very welcome way of presenting Golgappas. But let me ask you, we've also heard a lot about your ambience. You have categorically made it appealing in terms of portraying the Indian heritage. Why do you think, why do you think this was necessary? Like, we've seen a lot of restaurants that serve the food, but maybe don't have haven't put the effort in creating the ambience that reflects the culture of the food. Why did you do that?
Again, I think it's about the experience. And for us, it was not about creating a very swish ambience. We wanted people to come to Daana and feel that they have dined with friends. So if you come to Daana, you don't feel you're walking into a restaurant. You feel you're walking into a friend's home. The ambience is very simple. It's very, very understated, I would say. So it's not, it's representative of every state of India. There's something from every state on the walls of Daana. There is heritage from my family. There is, heirloom utensils, which my grandmother received as part of her trousseau from her grandmother. So, it's when you showcase a 150-year-old or a 175-year-old brass utensil, which is authentic, it's a little bit of our culture and our heritage that we've brought to the place. And at the same time, we have taken the trouble to, find photographs of Daana, the space that we were in, from what it was 60 years ago when it was built. It was, a corner store, like a Kirana store at one point in time. So there's a photograph of what it used to be. And, old timers from the suburb who come back to the restaurant, they would say, oh, when I was a little boy, this used to be a general store. And I used to come here for lollies. And then we would show them that photograph and the memories it brings. So our effort was, how do you blend our history with the history of the place? And that's been a beautiful experience. So, on the walls of Dana, you will find fabrics, which is basically representative of different states of India. The chikankari work, the katha work, the different embroideries, the different weaves, Kanjivaram to Patola. Those are the kind of things that we've put there, and it's all each of them have some memory attached to it. It's personal collection of ours as well as our friends donating it literally to us, saying, "Yeah, I think this will look great in your wall, and yeah, take it and do something with it." So yeah, that's and our guests have donated generously as well, saying, "Oh, you didn't have that one when I came last time, so we didn't have something from Northeast, and there was a guest who said, I have something at home and I'll bring it for you."
How sweet.
That goes up onto the wall as well. So it's a very, very fluid wall. It's with lots of embroidery hoops, and we made it ourselves. But and I think that got the warmth in the place, because it was not it's not a designer experience, it's a homely experience.
And again, you're talking about the complete experience. So those decorations or the ambience part, they become the talking point amongst guests. Plus, it gives us the opportunity to interact with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For example, there's a Varli painting that I have done along with Sanjay on one afternoon. He said, this wall is looking blank. What do we do with it? And I said, okay, Varli is not represented anywhere. So Maharashtra ka kuch nahi hai. So let's do a Varli painting. So there's a wall mural of Varli painting depicting a village life. And it's something which everyone looks at it fascinated, saying, it looks like chalk, but it's not chalk. And what is it? So that kind of conversations start happening.
What a perfect like combination, which really just prompts me to ask something that I was thinking of asking is, both of you are chefs, how did you meet? How did you come to Australia?
How did we meet? So we graduated from Institute of Hotel Management, Bangalore, and we met in the college. I was that time when my final year, and Sunita joined as first year student, and that's where we met. And coming to Australia, like after college, I worked with Taj and joined airline, got posted in different locations. The last we were in Delhi, having worked in the corporate sector, both of us, and kids were growing up. I said, no, I think it's time that we look something else. Then we can some new ventures, and hopefully they'll have something better to look for. And that's what. And we had few friends here in Sydney and Canberra. So we spoke to them. They said, no, no, you must come. We had a small holiday before when we applied just to see the country. We loved it. And here we are, been 11 years now in Canberra.
Really just destined. Um, but let me ask you, obviously you've grown up in India and now you live in Australia, you have such a successful restaurant. How do you think this cultural exchange, especially in terms of cuisine, can bring the Australian Indian communities closer?
I think as we were speaking about different experiences that we've been talking about, uh, you know, it's not just about the food as we spoke. It's about the cultural exchange. It's really about showcasing the richness of our Indian fabric. When I say fabric, I'm talking about the cultural fabric. It's so rich, it's so diverse. It's hard to explain uh, India in a sentence. Really, it's very difficult to explain it in a sentence. Uh, and food, I think, connects people. Food is a huge memory jogger. You bring people together with food. You create memories and you evoke memories. And I think we've seen that. A couple of uh, experiences that we've had. We've had one guest when we did our Leh Ladakh thali.
Oh,
Uh, each month, as I was saying, we go to a different state, and one of our Leh Ladakh thalis, there was this gentleman in his early 70s, probably, with his photo album from his trip to Leh Ladakh in 1970, sitting
wow.
with his family and saying, this is what I experienced when I went to Leh Ladakh, and this is the food that I ate there. And, reminiscing about Leh Ladakh trip of 50 years ago. I think food is so integral to nurturing those relationships, I would say.
And I think our cooking classes, which we
Oh,
have
yeah.
started, so that has really connected lots of local Australians and across the group,
Age groups, yeah.
from age groups like from school going 6, 10 years old up to 18. So we have people come in and we done only Indian dishes so far, and they love it and they share what they know, what they want to know, and is great. So I think that's the closest thing I can share with very ease, that that's how the exchange has happened and is happening.
And also, I think now with the community at a stage of maturity where there are, young Indians who are whose parents have come 20 years ago and they're now getting married, and there's those uh, inter you know multinational marriages, so to speak. You've got mom who's Indian, dad who's Australian, uh, getting married to a Singaporean, for example. So and then creating menus for those weddings and those cultural events, which represents. I still remember one of our weddings we did where grandmother was Indian origin. And I mean, she was an Indian. And then obviously there's been different, nationalities in the picture, but they wanted grandmom to feel special, and they wanted the marriage to represent the roots. So we had a Indian, Aussie, Singaporean menu.
Oh,
You know,
fantastic.
that's how, you talk about cultural exchange. That's what it is, really, without boundaries. So food has no boundaries, I would say. And reminiscing about, oh, this is what my grandmother used to like when she was a child, and let's put that in the menu.
You know, that's really well said, that food has no boundaries. So, coming to my last few questions, bear with me. How have you seen the acceptance for Indian cuisine, the widening palette for Indian cuisine, let's say, since you moved to Australia?
No, I think there has been a good shift, I would say. Like 11 years back, even there were few restaurants which were serving Indian food. Now we've got many restaurants who are serving Indian food. At the same time, many other type of cuisines have come up. In fact, Canberra has the highest number of restaurant per capita in country.
Wow, I thought Canberra was the slower city compared to
No.
Sydney or Melbourne. One just has an impression sitting so far away.
Mm. No, so I think coming back to answering that, for any restaurant to kind of widen its reach, you have to think differently. You have to see how the market is evolving, and you have to cater to that. So, for example, once we had acceptance with our regional food, we had gone for a nature walk, and over there we came across indigenous herbs, which our ranger was showing us, saying this is food that we eat as indigenous people. And that created a thought process, saying, it's growing in our backyard, why are we not using it? And we didn't even know they were edible. And then we experimented, and we came up with Indian recipes, which are very, very authentic, very true to its origin, but have now incorporated Australian indigenous bush ingredients in it. And we call it the Confluence menu. So, that's evolution of food, because if you take a Indian curry and you add an element of bush ingredients, it's still a curry, but it's got a new take on how food can really be enjoyed. So the Confluence menu was something we developed over a period of 18 months. And now it's like we can't think of doing food without incorporating a native spice or a native vegetable. So it's harder to do that, because surprisingly, native vegetables and native spices are not very easily available because they're not commercial.
Mm. Mm.
But
So there's
that part is gaining slowly popularity and recognition. People are getting to know about them, and there are more venues where one can buy online or some shops as well.
So
correct.
yeah, I mean, that's for us. We looking at that, that as our contribution to the cultural exchanges between our two countries.
No, absolutely. To be able to, bring these flavors and, these cuisines together, or even the ingredients that you use, surely must have required a lot of research, a lot of time from your end. So it's amazing to hear that you're doing this. But we're running out of time, so I'm going to ask my last question, which is, Daana, as we all know, was listed as one of the best restaurants, as the best restaurant in Canberra by Tourist Australia. What would you say is the must try at Dana for, so many viewers of ours who travel to Australia on holiday, and you know how Indians are, they always want
I think you
some
put the
amount of
most difficult question in the last.
sorry.
This is the most difficult question in the last.
Yeah, I was easing you into it.
I think it's very, very hard to pick one dish because we have done far too many dishes in terms of on our bhoj or thali, and we have a monthly menu now which changes every month now. But there are a few favorites which always been there. One of the dishes is the Malabar chicken and the Hyderabad dum biryani. These are two dishes have always been there.
And our eggplant curry.
Yeah.
So
List
it's the Karekuri eggplant curry has been
Yes.
very popular, and especially after we introduced bush tomato and lemon myrtle with it, people just love it. I mean, it's an amazing dish. Even I love that.
It was one of the hottest curry we had
Oh,
on our
very
menu.
spicy hot.
Very spicy hot. Yeah, it is well popular. Yes.
Very popular.
That's what shows us the changing palates of people, and what diaspora populations can do for, relationships between two such big countries. But thank you so much, Chef Sanjay and Chef Sunita, for being here with me today. And I actually can't wait to go to Canberra now, just for the restaurant. So I'm really happy. And
Not only, yeah.
Yeah, please.
Thank you so much. It was great to talk, and all our best wishes to all our viewers and listeners. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I hope to have you on again soon. And I thank my viewers for watching this series of interviews that we are doing on People to People Connect and key relationships between India and Australia. Thank you.